it's Tanya here. Happy Friday. I hope you're having a good day so far. I am coming to you live here in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada, and I am in my kitchen at the moment. I thought I'd like to have a little bit of fun with you today. So I'm calling this Foodie Friday, and I just want to share with you how grateful we are for the abundance of apples that we've been receiving from our backyard. And so I thought, what better way to, share what I'm doing than to do it with you live, rather than on a video, recorded video or a reel or whatever. So I thought I'd have a little bit of fun with you. And you know what? You can join me in my kitchen. We can have a little conversation. And I'd love for you to join me. So wherever you're tuning in from, please let me know. I'd love to give a shout out to you, say hello, and join me in conversation. So as I noted above, this is going to be my late grandma's apple pie recipe. I've never shared her recipe before, so if you stay till the very end, I will share that with you, and you're going to be surprised at one of the ingredients, actually, if you're not familiar with baking pies that much. So I promise to not take too much of your time. I really just wanted to do this quickly. So what I did, just to get started, and just to let you know that you are on my business page. Normally I share things about the business, but today I wanted to share a little bit about me, personal bit with you, so we can get to know each other a little bit better. So I am an online digital business owner, but today we're going to focus on baking this apple pie. So thank you so much for tuning in. Sometimes I can see the person that is coming in and sometimes I can't. So if I do see your name, I will definitely give you a shout out. All right, so to get started, what I normally do is to preheat the oven. So this recipe calls for 350 degrees. Okay, so that's established, that's done. And normally, just to save time, I do invest in the pre-made bake shell. So I will, go ahead with that in just a few minutes. And I've also already peeled a few apples just for the purposes of saving time. So I'm not sure how many this is going to take because these are all various sizes of apples. So I'll kind of give you a guide as to how many apples you're going to need to be able to complete this recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on peeling one of these apples. And in the meantime, I was wondering, what do you have planned for this weekend? It's Friday. I'm not sure where you're tuning in from. We are global, so you could be tuning in across the world right now. And I always love to hear where you're coming in from. We've got people from the UK, Australia, Italy, New Zealand, business partners in all those areas as well, from our own tribe. So I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from because it's amazing how small the world actually really is when we can be on, the online space like this and be able to communicate this way. So maybe it's, nighttime for you right now. Right now it is 11:45 on Friday morning, Mountain Standard Time. As I mentioned, I'm here in Alberta. And so, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I just wanted to greet you properly just in case. All right, so I'm going to get going on cutting up some of these apples. So I just usually cut them in wedges. So I'll get, going on that. So yeah, as far as the weekend goes, is it a time for rest and relaxation for you? Do you pick up extra shifts? Are you, working different shifts, night shifts, day shifts? Are you working at the moment? Are you working from home? Do you have something else that you have going on? I'd love to hear about it. And if you're catching this on the replay, I'd also love to hear what you have to say and, any comments that you have as well, are greatly appreciated, and I'd love to get in touch with you after. So what I've just done, I've just cut it in quarters, and I'm just going to cut it one more time because it helps to keep it a little on the thicker side, but not too thick and not too thin, because you want the apples to cook right through. So if you cut them the same way with all the apples, then you'll have more consistency, and you're not going to have some pieces that are harder and some that are softer. I find if it's too thin though, it becomes soggy. So if you can kind of keep it to that that thickness. So as I said, I did it in quarters, and then I'm just doing it in quarters again. So like a small apple is giving me 8 wedges. So I'll keep going on that, and then I'll show you how I place them in the pie shell. And you know what? Everybody does it differently. So that's definitely something that you can do. If you want to just dump them in, that's okay too. Or if you want to, place them in like I do, I kind of just do like a little bit of a spiral type of thing. And then I just find that I can put more of the apple pieces in there, like kind of really fill it up. And then I actually like to heap it a little bit too. I like my pie to be a little bit on the taller side. I just love apples. I don't know about you. Do you have a favorite kind of apple? I don't even know what kind of apple these are. This tree was here when we moved here, and it just started fruiting for us this year. And so we've been here now 3 years. So I'm not sure when the previous owners planted this tree, but we're certainly grateful for all that it's given us so far. So I have a couple of crisper drawers full in our second fridge, which is down in our suite downstairs. And so hopefully, I'll get to, going on more recipes that I can, use up the apples. And, we even take them for, snacks if we're going on hikes and stuff. And the kids and Derek, my husband, they like to take apples for snacks for school and work. So, so going on to that, if you're not familiar with who I am married to my husband Derek. This is also his page. I do most of the visual work, and then he does some behind the scenes. And also I have 3 beautiful children that I've been blessed with. I have a 22-year-old daughter that's in her last year of university, so we're excited for her. That's very exciting. And so she is completing her business and marketing diploma, and she's in Ontario, and that's where we're originally from. So if you don't know me, that's I thought I'll just fill you in there. Oh, and that's my son Braden, just coming home from school. On Fridays he gets to come home early, so that's quite a treat. So he's gonna probably go do his thing. Usually I'll just check in with him, see how his day went, but I'll do that after, unless he wants to come and say hi. He's a little shy when it comes to being on a live video. He doesn't mind some photos, but he doesn't know that I'm doing this right now. Anyways, so going back to that, so yeah, my son Braden is in grade 9 now, and he's 14, and he is still in the kindergarten to grade 9 school for now, and then next year he'll be in high school. So he made a decision, because he could either stay there or start at the high school this year already. So most of his friends were staying back, so he wanted to join them, for that, and then they'll all start high school together, which will be really nice. And my middle daughter actually just started college, and that's Jasmine, and she just started last week, and so she's loving it so far. She has some busy days, but she's also working afterwards. So good, kudos to her. That's what her, her choice was. But we'll see how things go throughout the school year. She's going to see how that goes for her, and if she doesn't have the balance or the study time, then she'll definitely either drop down on hours or maybe discontinue working or whatever. Okay, now I've got my apples all chopped. I know you have, oh, there you go, you can see. So I've got all those there, and then what I normally do, and you should too, if you're not familiar on how to make pie, you need to prick it so that it doesn't implode. So otherwise you'll find this big ball of dough. And I usually just do, I don't have a set number of pricks that I do, but I'll just show you when I'm done here. Just enough to make sure that it's not going to rise, because we're not going to pre-bake this. I don't know if you can see the pricks there, but yeah, just go around on the bottom and on the sides, and that way it's not going to expand while it's baking. Now, the other trick is how I am going to place the apples. So usually I'll just start, on one end, and I'll just kind of lay it flat as is, and I'll do a few, and then you can see. And I kind of, like I said, I do a spiral. This is what my grandma taught me. This is how she did it. And so I follow in her footsteps. Yeah, she was a wonderful lady. She was, one of my best friends, and she was actually one of my whys why I got started in this business in the first place. I wanted to be able to spend more time with her, and knowing that I could still, my business was working for me while I was visiting her, was the best gift, because you know what, you can never get the time back, right? So I have no regrets. I got to spend the time with her, and you know, we got to do things like this together. She taught me how to make jam. She taught me how to quilt. She taught me how to sew. We did so much together. She actually made my wedding dress. That's something you probably never have known. And she made my grad dress, both, well, that would have been for high school, my grad dress. She made my prom dress in high school as well. She's made our daughters' flower girl dresses twice, and their first communion. So yeah, it's been incredible. She was so talented, and I'm just so glad that, you know, I was able to spend that time with her, learn a few things. I'm not an expert by any means, but I certainly enjoy, you know, what she's taught me, and I do my best. So I'm just going to show you a quick, that's what it's looking like so far. So if you just kind of do like a little bit of a spiral, and then we're going to layer it. So I'm just going to fill in. So in the middle was a kind of a big gap. So I'm going to pick a bigger wedge to fill up the space here. It's a little bit of math, I guess, trying to, you know, put things together here. It's a little bit of fun, puzzling it together. You know, sometimes I'll even cut little wedges if I need to fit it in, you know, a certain spot. Like right now, I'm going to just cut off a little edge, and then I'm just going to, you know, make it work. You can do the same, so that way you're packing it in, and every bite is going to have some apple to it. So we're almost at the home stretch here. I'm just going to do a couple more wedges. And I might just peel maybe 1 or 2 more apples. Like I said, I like to have a full pie here. I'll show you what I'm doing here as well. So it's actually, I'm bringing it right to the top. And that's okay, because your apples will fall down. They'll shrink a little bit. So if you can see, I'm just doing the edges now. I'm just going to keep going around. And I like to add cinnamon. Well, you know, before I add all the toppings, like there's going to be some toppings that I'll be putting on here to make it the, you know, the actual pie. But I like to put the cinnamon on the apples, because I find that they absorb the flavor a lot better too. So just give me 2 seconds. I'm going to do, I think, maybe 1 more apple might do it. I'm just going to check and see how that looks. In the meanwhile, as I was mentioning, so we've got the weekend coming up, and so Derek works at the college, and he's in the marketing department. That's his background, is graphic design and marketing. And he's going to be running one of the games tomorrow. It's called Foodie Fest. It's an event that takes place every year here in Lethbridge. And so he's going to be doing that for about 4 hours, running one of the games. So I'm excited, because we've never been. This is our 3rd year, but I know that the first couple years they didn't have it, as you know why. And so this is, last year we couldn't make it. I think we had something else going on that weekend. So this year, he's going to be doing that, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to go down there and have a look and see. And it's supposed to be really nice weather. So what are you going to do this weekend if it's nice weather? Do you have plans to be outside? That's another thing. We just love to be outdoors. We love, you know, the mountains and the fresh air, and it's just exhilarating, you know. I don't know. There's something about being in the mountain air. It's so different, you know, than where we were from. We're from Ontario, and you know, we were quite far from any of the lakes or you know, the northern side of Ontario. So, you know, being sort of more west, we didn't really have like a lot of trees, or, well, we don't have mountains in Ontario, so anything like that. This is a, you know, thrill for us. And we came here because we wanted a better lifestyle. We wanted to be able to share, you know, being in the mountains with our kids. Derek and I don't know if you heard before that we used to live in BC when we were in our 20s. And so we got a taste of it back then, and we just really wanted our kids to be able to experience it too. So, and then plus we have a support system here with 2 sets of best friends and our business partners that live in Calgary. So that's only about a 2-hour drive for us. You know, there's other business partners that live here in Lethbridge that I haven't met yet either, which is kind of nice, because then you get to meet people offline. But yeah, so going back to the Foodie Fest, that's going to happen tomorrow, and I guess it's going to be like from 12 till sometime at night. So it's going to be an all-day thing. And so we'll see how that goes. I think Derek's there till 4, and then maybe we'll do, you know, walking around together and, you know, explore the area together. So that should be fun. I don't know what to expect really. I know there's going to be vendors, but I don't know. I know there, and I know there's concerts at night. So maybe we'll join, one of those events, but I'm not sure what to expect. So it's kind of exciting. I always love those kinds of things. Like, do you like going to festivals, and do you like, partaking in some of these things? I know sometimes, people, have an aversion to crowds, or, it kind of makes them anxious or whatever, but do you get past that? Like, is that something that you want to join and you want to be a part of? I know I do. I like being, among people. I keep my distance, to an extent, but I don't mind being around people, is what I'm saying. I would feel like I'm a little bit more social than not. So I guess, would that be something that you would, enjoy doing? So I'm just doing one more. I ended up doing 2 more apples, and you know what? I forgot to keep count of how many apples, but just as I believe it was about 7, but they're just small apples. So maybe 4 large apples could do you, if you want to gauge that for your pie when you're ready to make it, just so that you have an idea of how many that you're going to need. And also there's different apples that, do different things. So my mom used to, whenever she would make her crumble, like an apple crumble, she would use Granny Smith because she really liked the tartness of the apple. It's very, tangy, a little bit sour, and it would absorb the juices really well. So it didn't tend to be too watery. Some apples you want to be careful of because they could make it a little bit more soupy. But the trick to that is, if you know that you have an apple that is a bit, on the softer side, or it's going to be a little bit soupy, you can just add a little bit more flour or some oats. That's just a little trick for you. And that's going to absorb a little bit of the liquid. So, especially making a crumble, which normally I make a lot of crumbles because I find they're really easy. And I don't always have tart shells on hand, but this time I wanted to do a pie. So I am just about at the finish line here with placing my apples. So I will let you see what it's looking like. So I think it's, fairly full. So there you go. Yeah, that's about 7 apples, as I mentioned. And so now the next thing is, I didn't get my bowl out as I was going to, so just give me 1 second. I'm just going to grab a bowl here. And in this bowl, I'm going to mix the flour, which I already pre-measured, and it's normally brown sugar, but I have coconut sugar on hand, and it does the same trick. If you're, wanting to watch your sugar intake, you can definitely use the coconut sugar instead of the regular. And then I've got my whisk here, so I'm just gonna whisk that together, just like that. So yeah, it's just sugar and flour so far. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm not sure who's tuning in, but thank you again. I just wanted to give a shout out. If you've joined me just now, I just put all the apples together on the pie plate, or in the crust, and I'm just now going to add the sugar and the flour. Oh, and like I mentioned, almost forgot, I'm going to add the cinnamon to the apples right now, and I also will sprinkle just a little bit of cinnamon on the top after. So there's that. So just a little bit of a sprinkle there. I'm almost done getting this together. And then you can either use your hand or a spoon. I'm going to go grab a spoon to scoop it in. And literally you're just going to, sprinkle and cover the apples the best that you can. So here we go. We're almost done. All right. And I guess the other question to you is, what season is it for you? Where are you tuning in from? Because here we're still catching the tail end of summer, so we're pretty fortunate. Feels like almost like a second summer. Like sometimes by the time school starts, we feel like it's getting cool and it's becoming fall for us. But here it feels like we're getting, like I said, a second summer. We're supposed to have really hot weather tomorrow and Sunday, so that makes it nice to be outside and amongst that or whatever, to have that. Okay, so I've got that. So I'll show you what that looks like now. One apple just started to stick up. So there you go. So that's all the dry ingredients. And then this is the trick. This is the This is something that you probably have never seen before, or maybe you have. But the key ingredient, or the secret ingredient, is mayonnaise with a little bit of milk. And that's what makes it the Dutch apple. So I'm just now whisking it together. I'm keeping it like, how can I explain it? So if I can show you the consistency, it's like a little bit thick, but not too thick and not too runny. So you want like a good pouring consistency. So I'll show you what it looks like. You know what, it's actually looking a little thick now. I'm gonna add a little bit more milk. I just put some milk in. So this one is hard to gauge, especially on the recipe when I share that with you, because my grandma, she doesn't have an exact science. It's just, you know how they used to cook and bake. It was like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I literally had to ask her, okay, but how much is that actually? So I'm just gonna pour the mayonnaise milk mixture now all along the apples and let it seep in. So right now it's kind of sticking to the surface, but we want it to fall down into the apples and then continue to cover the apples with the mixture. I think that was a pretty good estimate. So it was about 2.5 tablespoons of mayonnaise and then some milk. But again, I'll share the recipe with you, and then you can have a look at all the steps and everything. So that's that. And then I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on top, just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more color. And I'm excited to try this after. So I'll just tilt the phone down so you can see, because I can't lift it up. It's, it's got the milk and everything. So sometimes I'll put it on a baking sheet just so that it doesn't, oh, now I can't get you back here. So it doesn't overflow, but it shouldn't. I mean, with it being the apple pie and this type of apple, we should be okay with that. Huh, that's funny. There we go. So I'm just gonna. All right. Well, it looks like I fiddled with the holder, so now it's not cooperating with me. But I just wanted to say, I hope you enjoyed this little session with me today. Got to do a little bit of conversation. Anything else you want to add, I would love to see it. And you know what? Tune in again. I'm going to try and do these every Friday for Foodie Friday. And if you have a suggestion of what you want me to see, what you want to see me demonstrate, let me know. Put it, down below, and I'll definitely take that into consideration. See if I've got the ingredients, and see if we can go from there. All right. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. Stay tuned for the end result. I will take a picture or video of the end result with what the pie looks like when it's cooked, and I'll be sure to share that on my page. All right. Well, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And I can't wait to chime in again sometime soon. All right, thanks for stopping by. And if you are looking for the recipe, send me a message with your email, and I'll send it to your email, and then you've got the recipe for your collection. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.